Hannah.
And I'm Matt Hannah.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannahs.
Where we're a podcast that's going to review a movie about a podcast.
Ooh, meta. Today, though, as Matt said, we are talking about Undertone. This is the new horror film from A24 about a paranormal podcast host caring for her dying mother, who becomes haunted by terrifying recordings mysteriously sent to her and her co-host. It just came out in theaters, so we will be beginning spoiler-free, and we'll let you know when we're about to start spoiling.
Yeah, so we get to see this one early, which was quite exciting.
Yes, it was very, very, very exciting. This was definitely one of the movies in the next couple months that I was most pumped for. So I was pretty pleased that we got that invite. So it's fun.
Yeah, and so do you think it lived up?
Well, so what I'll start by saying is that this movie premiered in 2025, and people were saying that it was just one of the scariest movies that they'd seen in a really long time, and that they found it ultimately terrifying. And so I kind of, whenever people say that, there's like a mix of skepticism, but also excitement. So that definitely informed how we felt going in, I would say. But I'm glad we got to see it before the full masses got to see it, because then I think that also would have kind of impacted how I took away the film. It's kind of like The Bride, too. Like, I'm so glad I saw that early. But I don't want to say exactly what I think yet, because you're skipping the background.
Okay.
You're skipping the whole format of the podcast. So the film is written and directed by Ian Towson in his directorial debut. And the film is starring Nina Kiri and Adam DeMarco. The character Justin in the film, that's who is played by Adam DeMarco. We only hear his voice. Originally, this character was played by another person. It was originally played by Chris Holden Reed, but once the film was acquired by A24, they recast with Adam DeMarco. So I am very interested in why that happened, but we don't really have much of an explanation for that. The film's title was also changed when it was picked up by A24. At festivals, it premiered under the name The Undertone.
Oh, okay.
But it was changed to just Undertone.
That's the name of their podcast, and it is The Undertone. I think Undertone is cleaner.
I agree. I was going to ask you how you thought.
It's like the whole Facebook versus the Facebook from the social network. Drop the. Yeah,
you're right. That's probably what guided them to this decision.
Yep.
Is that line. They rewatched the social network and said, hold up. So this movie is very much based off podcasting and therefore based off sound. Obviously, podcasting is a very auditory medium, so I do think it was really cool how they played with sound in this film. So I did look up a bunch of background about the sound design and whatnot because I thought it was pretty cool. And Ian Towson, like I said, the director, he said that partnering with A24 allowed them to use Dolby Atmos, which is an immersive sound technology that adds height channels to traditional audio, creating a 3D soundscape where audio elements move around the listener even overhead. So because they were able to use Atmos, they were able to incorporate a lot more into the sound design, specifically to have sound come from places where it shouldn't.
I mean, hell, it sounded like it was coming from our seats in the Dolby Theater we were in, so...
Yes. So they introduced us early in the film to where things were located, specifically where she is podcasting and how that fits related to the rest of the layout of the house. I feel like they do give us a really good idea of the layout of the house. And because they do that, they could put footsteps, for example, in a direction that someone shouldn't be walking around. Mm-hmm. Or water coming from rooms that are not occupied.
I was going to say, I felt like they really did lay out the house, so I understood it very well. So that's interesting. I didn't notice the whole sound coming from places it wasn't supposed to.
Oh, I fully
Interesting.
knew. That's what made me so scared at points, because I was like, sound shouldn't be coming from over there. So I think that was brilliant. And that's why I'm sure our early screener played in Dolby.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I was going to think of that too. Like, this film I really enjoyed. I don't even know if it would work, though, outside of the theater. That would be my
Yeah.
only like one downside is it's
think
like
it would-
a theater movie. You got to see it there.
I think it would work decently well if you have surround sound, but if you don't have surround sound, aka you're not in a theater or don't have a surround sound system at home,
This movie
it's
might
not
not
going to
work.
work that well for you, unfortunately. They also used gibberish, audio apophenia, which I think they define actually in the movie, which is assigning meaning to sounds that shouldn't be related, and then audio played in reverse to make things sound scary without revealing a precise threat or really going into why they're scary. And so the director said, it's an exercise for your imagination. You're the one forming this horrible implication, this horrible image in your head. You're creating it, not me.
Definitely.
So I thought those interviews were very fun. I'm going to go into a little bit more background about what inspired the story once we do our spoiler zone.
Sounds good.
Because I don't want to spoil any elements of the film. Again, we did talk about how much hype this movie was getting before release. Now that it's out in theaters, I want you to guess what the Rotten Tomato score is for critics.
80%, somewhere in there. We'll just say 80 flat.
76.
Oh, okay.
So very close.
Yeah. That'd be my guess. It's a horror movie, so it's always tough still. But I think when it comes to like the technological aspects of it, that critics would be happy with it. I also think its simplicity is really nice. So,
What do you think the audience score is?
65%.
It is only 54%.
Whoa. Okay.
I read some of the reviews. I didn't read that many because I didn't care that much. But people did not like the, quote, lack of plot
Oh, see, that's like what I did like about it.
or the ending.
Well, that's also dumb. But that's fine. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I think the lack of plot or the simplicity of the plot allows the scares to hit harder. And when we've had a million grief narrative horror movies, to not go that route with this made me happy because I did not want more of that. I would also say that there is kind of a plot, but a lot of it is happening
There's definitely a plot.
off camera, you know?
There's definitely a plot.
Yeah. I do think it's more simple, though.
It's a very simple plot.
But I think there's a lot to piece together that you can kind of think about and make you feel a little sick at night.
I do think this movie is sickening in all of the ways that we could define that. So, let's keep talking about what we thought of the movie. You just kind of gave us some insight into your thoughts on the movie getting started.
I found it to be quite scary. It's not the scariest movie I've ever seen, the way people are talking about it. That's kind of crazy to say.
Well, let's break down
Go ahead.
what makes it scary then.
Well, let me finish what I was going to say. I haven't had this like anxiety or scaredness in a theater in a while.
Ooh, okay.
I feel like we haven't had particularly scary horror movies in a while. Just in general, this one is truly scary. I think Skinamarink was what I say is one of the scariest I've seen. This felt like a little bit of a lighter version of that and with more of a plot.
Yeah.
So complementary to both of those movies.
Yeah.
What really worked, and I know you were scared throughout, is there's never really a relief of tension. It kind of just builds and is paced perfectly for the tension to keep building and building. There's never a roller coaster or an up, down, or a moment of levity. It kind of is just starts not scary and then just gets scarier and scarier and scarier until it ends.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree that I don't think it gives you that many moments of levity. I think you hit this certain point and it just stays alarming from then onward. But I do think you have to be open to the type of scary that it's going for. I feel like this kind of gave me the same feeling that I had when I watched The Witch for the first time, where I just felt tense and like that suspense the entire time.
That's a good comparison.
Without crazy relief.
The Witch is better. Sorry to Undertone.
Well, no, I'm
Undertone
not
is
saying
scarier.
it's.
I think you're right in the way that it builds the whole way. However, The Witch might just start high and remain high, but this one really is like it accelerates into its ending.
Yes. And I know that doesn't work for some people. I think that a lot of people find that, quote, slow. But I don't mind that at all.
I don't find it slow. There's a couple like plot devices they use that slow the whole thing down that I felt a little contrived, but like them just choosing to stop recording their podcast to wait a couple more days. But I really enjoyed it because it made me anticipate the next recording they were going to listen to.
Yes.
And I enjoyed that. I thought, I mean, the real shining portion of this is the sound design, and that's entirely the purpose, where they use the sound differently when she has her headphones on versus off. And what they play with a lot is the idea of, am I hearing something through the headphones or is there something in my home? And I think we've all had that fear of something. You hear a police siren on a song and you think in the car and you think you're getting pulled over. They play with that fear a lot, except in this version, it's what is banging around in my house? Is it my noise canceling headphones like just playing that sound, or is it coming through that, or is it in my head? And as a theater goer, we are really put into the first person view of that via sound.
Yes. I overall think the sound design is incredible because of the reasons you just described. And when I was talking about the background earlier about how sounds would come seemingly from directions that they shouldn't, I feel like that really worked for me because there were times where I'd feel like, why are there footsteps above her? There shouldn't be footsteps in this house, period. But they shouldn't be above her.
Your mom's walking around?
It shouldn't be above her because mom shouldn't be able to walk.
Yeah, exactly.
So or like the water shouldn't start running because no one else is there to let it run, etc. Yeah. Which, yes, I think it happening period is scary, but I think specifically when it's coming from mom's room is what creeps me out the most. And you can tell it's coming from mom's room because of the way they design the sound.
Yes. And the way that they've laid out the whole... the way that they've laid out the house and you understand the space completely.
Yes.
Until they start using mirrors later. And then I'm like, wait, where am I? Which was also a fun disorienting trick.
Yes. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I think this movie is also framed incredibly well. And I think that is what helps with some of that suspense building as well. It kind of reminded me of the way Skinamarink is shot.
Definitely.
But with plot. More plot. There are a lot of slow pans that leave you panicking as to what's just outside the frame.
As they start panning to where the noise is coming from, or placing the noise behind you.
Mm-hmm. Or sometimes it's not with a noise at all. It's just her on her podcast, and then it starts shifting. So then you're like, oh my God,
over there?
what
are they
is over there?
And then they show you nothing.
Over there? And they're just showing you an empty staircase. There are a lot of shots of like weirdly framed empty staircase or corner of room with just a lamp that shouldn't be in the shot at all, in theory.
It lets your mind fill in the blanks. But by using sound the way they do, that makes it even worse in a good way. I mean, it makes it so you think even harder. Skinamarink kind of did both, where it didn't show you anything and also played just crazy static and weird noises. So when you start staring down a hallway for a prolonged period, anything can be there. Yeah. And your mind starts creating it. This one, my mind was creating it based off of the sound that they gave me, which I thought works very well. This was definitely more, here's what we want you to hear, where Skinamarink is, what's your mind going to fill it with?
Yeah.
So
I agree. They are fundamentally different in that way, but I do think that if you're someone who liked the idea of Skinamarink but just couldn't stay focused or stay entertained,
then Undertone's for you.
Might be a happy medium for you. I also really like that the movie only has 2 characters that we see. Yeah.
I was really happy with the way it's framed. It's only ever played in the house. We never see the people calling in. We never see her friend. I like that it's... even when she leaves the house to go to the party, we don't follow her. I think that really helps play with the dread and the fear. I think that was a critical choice, and it would have been a worse movie had we ever left the house.
Yeah, I agree. I also think it makes us really sit in Evie's fear when we're only ever following her. It kind of reminded me, and it's not quite the same thing, but like when we watched If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, and the way it's
a funny comparison. Yeah, how we never see the daughter.
We never see the daughter. Like, it's a very intentional framing device that I think is really cool. Because there's a point where someone else is in the home that she's talking to, like the nurse for her mother, but we don't never see that person. Yeah. And
it's the isolation of taking care of a dying family member.
Exactly. Yeah. And we should feel like she's isolated because, I mean,
because her boyfriend's shitty.
Everyone in her life is seemingly shitty.
Justin's
or
not.
Dying.
Or far away.
Yeah. So I thought all of those choices are really cool.
Definitely. So, you want...
What else?
I don't know. I feel like I hit on
really
all the
liked?
stuff that I really liked.
Okay, anything that we don't want to spoil.
That we disliked?
Yeah, anything we can spoil that we disliked. So the words came out wrong.
I think the movie is very simple, and that's fine. It has one goal in mind, which is to scare you. Mm-hmm. I think I would have enjoyed maybe a little... I could have used more files and more time listening to the files.
Me too.
I thought that they were the scariest part, and I think we could have created more scares from them. And maybe they planned to, and then it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I almost wish we had a little more time. Its ending is abrupt, but I had no problem with that. I think when everyone's like, this is the scariest movie I've ever seen, I was maybe anticipating a little more scary. And while I did find it scary, it could have been more.
Yeah, I don't think it's as scary as people said it was.
Definitely.
I did find it scary. But I think I was pre-prepared for it to be scarier than it was. So the whole time I was sitting with like my hand over my mouth because I was worried I was going to start screaming.
You didn't hide or scream once.
You
hid. You didn't scream once.
A bit. I did not scream at all.
I didn't hide
and
or scream
I am
at all.
a movie screamer.
I thought that's because there's no jump scare ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's never really a moment that would release that.
I held my hand over my mouth the whole time to the point that like my hand was cramping from like how tense it was covering my face. But I don't think I would have done that naturally had I not been warned it's the scariest thing ever. I think between the movie doing a good job at building suspense and then also based off what other people said, I was in prepared mode the whole time. Mm-hmm. And I don't think my body needed to be that alert the whole time.
Yeah, and that's kind of where the fun from this one comes, is that you were on alert. I was not alert the whole time. I kept looking at you, I was like, what's your deal?
But I think part of that is because people said it's the scariest movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's so scary. I think that is... In this movie, I don't even think that's like the marketing's fault 100%. The movie marketing said the scariest movie you'll ever hear.
Yeah, that might be true.
It was pretty deliberate that they didn't say the scariest movie you'll ever see, in my opinion. And I agree. The sound design is really cool for this. So I agree that if you isolate just the sound design and the audio of this movie, yeah, it's terrifying. But I do think people hyped it up maybe a bit much for what the end product is.
Definitely.
We did ask people after the film how scary they thought it was on a scale of 1 to 10. We only asked 4 people.
And we had all 7s and 8s.
Yes, all 4 people said between 7 and 8.
7s probably.
I feel like 6 to 7 probably fair.
For me. You know, I was just thinking about something interesting, and I haven't talked about this in a while, but you've heard me talk about PT before. Mm-hmm. The player teaser for Silent Hills that never got made. There's a scene in that I remember being really disgusting and scary that's really similar to this. And it's like you're in a home where it's been implied that the husband killed his wife and in the bathroom. And there's a part in the game where you like look through a peephole into the bathroom and you don't see anything, but you hear the sound of her getting killed. Ooh. And it kind of reminded me of something that happens in this movie. And I wish we got something that maybe went that far, because in that moment in that game, it's like disgusting, like the sound of someone being stabbed, kind of like the squishy and someone like, you know, taking their last breaths. And I think that would have worked really well in something like this. I'm kind of surprised we didn't get it.
I was surprised. Well, I can't say what I was surprised by.
We'll
actually, I realized it was a massive spoiler. So fine. Let's enter the spoiler zone.
Sure, entering the spoiler zone now.
Now we're entering the spoiler zone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the spoiler zone. After this point, you're going to hear some things that you might not want to hear.
Let's do 15-second summaries then.
Summaries.
Yep. You got yours up?
I'll pull it up.
Timer's coming up.
Okay. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. Let me know when you're
I'm ready.
Okay.
Go.
Main character's mother is dying, so she is really isolated, staying with dying mom. There's no one around to comfort her or talk to her. And all she does is make podcast, and podcast files start getting really scary and isolating her more.
There you go.
I panicked. I would have said
that's fine.
You could do better. You could take what I did and do much better.
Okay.
Go.
Yeah, baby-eating demon haunts them and takes over her mom to kill her baby, which is actually her grown adult daughter, and she probably dies. That's how I interpreted it.
Okay.
Yep. All right, let me get this whole plot description now. So, you ready for this one? After reading this plot description, I was like, yeah, there's not really that much that happens in this movie. And that's like kind of what's good about it.
Yeah.
So, all right, Evie is living alone with her dying and unresponsive mother, who she cares for. She and her friend Justin run The Undertone, a horror podcast where they report on supernatural occurrences, which Evie dismisses as hoaxes while Justin fully believes they are real. One day, Justin is sent an anonymous email containing a seemingly random string of letters and 10 audio files, which they play on the podcast. The files are recorded by a couple named Mike and Jessa, the latter of whom talks in her sleep, which Mike hopes to capture evidence of. In the first recording, Jessa sings London Bridge in her sleep, which Justin then plays backwards and insists he can hear her saying, "Mike, kill all." This inspires Evie to research hidden messages in children's songs and become disturbed when playing Ba Ba Black Sheep, her favorite childhood song, in reverse, and it reveals the message, "Lick the blood off." Evie later discovers that she is 6 weeks pregnant by her boyfriend Darren. At her mother's bedside, Evie informs of her pregnancy, but then confesses that she feels unfit to be a mother. Playing additional recordings from Mike and Jessa reveal Jessa speaking what at first sounds like gibberish, but when played backwards reveals, "Come in, Abazu." Through research, Evie and Justin learn that Abazu is a demon who would cause miscarriages and drive mothers to murder their own children out of jealousy as she was infertile. Evie notices increasingly strange phenomena around her, such as her mother moving on her own, lights flickering, and a statue of the Virgin Mary that Evie placed in a closet reappearing in other parts of the house. In the final recording, Jessa insists she has to warn someone who's listening. A caller claiming to be Mike and Jessa's neighbor reveals that the couple was found dead in their home with plastic bags over their head and drawings of babies all over the walls, and that Jessa was pregnant at the time of her death. Another caller demands to speak to Mary, the name Evie previously said she had always wanted to give to her hypothetical child. A final caller named Abby begs for help, calming her incessantly crying child. They then hear her murdering the infant despite pleading with her not to. Evie then confesses that she believes she killed her mother by refusing to pray for her. Evie rushes upstairs, her walls now covered in crayon drawings of Abazu and dead infants. She sees her mother standing in the bathroom, and the screen goes black as Evie screams for her mother to stop. She then says, "Come in, Abazu."
We're sorry to interrupt the show you're listening to, and we're going to prove that by keeping this ad short.
This is Seth and Michelle, the hosts of Movie Friends, and we're so respectful of your time that we're not going to use the full 60 seconds to promote our show.
Has this ever been done in the history of advertising?
Never! New episodes release every Monday, and with over 300 episodes and counting, there is sure to be something for everyone.
We're a community-driven show that believes film discussion can be friendly and without pretension.
We've been called relaxing,
Intelligent,
zesty,
and fun. There must be a catch though, right? Like we probably blather on for 4-hour episodes.
That's the best part. We don't blather. Not a lot, at least.
Blather is such a good word.
A truly underutilized word.
Yeah. What were we doing?
I don't remember.
Movie Friends, fun conversations from across film history. Visit our website, moviefriendspodcast.com, and listen to our show everywhere you get your podcasts.
And we did it with plenty of time to spare.
Hello all, and welcome to Movies and Us, a weekly gathering place filled with conversations about movies, story, and connection. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan. We aren't filmmakers or industry experts. We are simply two fans who enjoy unpacking movies together and love the great conversations movies inspire. And that passion is what motivated us to start this podcast.
Our name sums it up. We're all about movies and the powerful ways we can connect with each other and the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories.
Everyone is welcome here, so join us in conversations about movies and the stories that connect us.
Let's chat.
Yeah.
Let's chat spoilers. Okay, one complaint.
Yeah.
I wish there was a little more of an inciting incident for Mike and Jessa. It's really just like, we're going to record her sleeping, and then like creepy shit starts happening.
I did not
feel
mind that.
Okay.
Well, because they do set it up as in she's been talking in her sleep a lot. She doesn't believe me that she's saying full sentences and like talking this much in her sleep, so I'm recording her talking in her sleep.
Yeah.
It just then builds from there.
So I get that. I just like when a horror movie has like a, what would you call it? Not a trespass, but something where they go against something. Usually that's like something that you have to do for horror to work.
That's so vague. Explain.
I have to remember that the Tombs system from a TTRPG we played talks about, I think the R is that, and I can't remember what it is. But it's like when you basically do something that causes the incident. And I kind of felt like they didn't, maybe what they did was they're listening to the tapes. But I don't know, I just feel like I would have enjoyed a little more lore with the tapes, personally.
Oh, I don't mind that we don't have lore of the tapes. I think there's something scarier in that we don't know why they're getting the tapes. We don't know why the tapes are recorded. And all we know is that she is talking in her sleep. I have no issue that there is no, quote, inciting incident beyond that for the tapes.
Oh.
And I like that Justin just heard part of it and was like, that's scary, I'm bringing it to this podcast, fuck it.
I guess that was it. The T in Tombs is transgression. That's how horror starts, typically, is with a transgression. So I guess in this situation, the transgression is them listening to the tapes. I guess I wanted that for Mike and Jessa's as well. I think I just said Jenna, not Jessa, but... Okay.
I thought it was substantial enough. I think that's also because sometimes you talk in your sleep and it scares me because you say weird shit in your sleep. So for me, I went in like, yo, that's scary as hell. And I also have woken up to Matt talking to sleep and tried to record it to be like, hey, here's proof of what you do.
Yeah, you better not do that anymore.
Well, I mean, I literally have and tried to send it to you. And sometimes you like stop talking the second I'm recording or whatever. It doesn't show up well, but literally been there, done that. And you've said some creepy shit in your sleep. Sometimes it's just like gibberish, and sometimes you'll be like, and then I threw it off the cliff. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you better be careful, or Abazu's going to come get you.
That's kind of what I think is happening. I'm convinced.
So the other thing, though, is like Abazu is a jealous, infertile woman who is causing miscarriages and causing moms to kill their children. I feel like that should have been part of the transgression as well. And in this situation, it's like, okay, well, our main character's pregnant, so that's it. And I guess Jessa's pregnant. But I just like, I could have taken a little bit more.
Obviously, we know why it's coming after Jessa, because she's pregnant. And then... yeah, my interpretation was it's coming after Evie because she's pregnant. It just happens to know that before she does.
Yeah. I get it.
And the whole time, part of me was like, is mom have like a deeper relationship to Abazu in
That's
some
also
way?
what I thought. I thought it was going to be like a Hereditary where mom had sold her soul.
But I do think the ending is so ambiguous that like if that's how you want to interpret it, that's fine.
Well, I interpret it as that Abazu, the baby is Evie, or the child is Evie, and Abazu is preying upon a comatose woman to possess, to kill their child. So it would be, that's why mom wakes up and looks around, and that's why I believe at the end the mother kills Evie, Bob being possessed by Abazu. That's my interpretation of the story, at least.
Yeah, but I also think it makes sense to harm Evie because you're trying to harm the baby. Like Mike and Jessa died because Jessa was pregnant. So it makes sense to me.
Who
if it's trying
killed
to
Mike
kill
and Jessa though?
Abazu somehow.
Abazu,
but we don't know the context
in
exactly.
this situation, I was like,
and
okay.
I think Abazu was, if we're interpreting it that way, that it's not that it's her mom killing her because her mom is killing her baby, I think we can interpret it as Abazu is using her mother, who's a shell of a person and could be easily possessed, to hurt Evie
and
her baby.
Yeah.
I think either way, it is an ambiguous ending,
Definitely.
but I kind of like that. I don't think it needs a more straightforward ending than what we got.
It pulls like the Ring ending, where it's like, because you watched The Ring, now you're going to get the phone call. And in this situation, it was like, all right, you listened, you heard, come in, Abazu, so now you're going to be haunted. Because those last 30 seconds are all in black, and it's us being haunted. And that was really cool. And that's a great way to end, I thought.
Yeah, I think that's a cool way to end, especially because the whole time, like, basically she's now getting haunted, allegedly, because of because they're listening to the tapes. Yep. So I like that it's then playing on us listening to it.
Definitely.
I think it's cool.
But
that's also really just an interpretation of the ending. I don't know if that's super clearly the ending
that's
either,
how I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
There were a couple of people I think that in our theater didn't like it because somebody busted out laughing when it ended. Yeah. And the other people we talked to was like, I'm sweating right now, which is more of where we were, was like, I'm sweating.
I think maybe people would laugh at the end. One, because panic like panic laugh, I think that would be, and like relief laugh, like it's over. But if people are laughing because it's dumb, I have seen reviews that people don't like the ending, and I think it would be because it goes from 0 to 100 really fast. And because the movie is pretty chill the whole time. Not chill, but like it's a calmer suspense building. It's more slow burn than anything.
Yeah.
I think people were like, where the hell did that come from? LOL. Funny.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think it builds really into it. I thought it was
built
paced pretty well.
I also feel that way, but people
I also
didn't.
have seen some TikTok comments saying that they think the movie is slow in the beginning, and I have to say I really think that's TikTok brained. Like that is, I don't think this movie's slow at the beginning. It's like very, I mean it is, but it's like it's like a 90-minute movie.
People that we're like buddies with in the film community called it a slow burn.
I totally do. I've seen slow burn,
and
not a slow burn.
To me, this wasn't one, but
Watch Andrei Rublev and then talk to me about slow burns.
that's just a whole different genre, bro.
I still liked that movie, but that was a 3-hour slow burn until the bell. That's a very niche movie to talk about, I feel like.
I fell asleep.
Well, the bell was amazing, but everything else...
I was asleep for the bell,
tough.
sorry.
So, like, yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I didn't find it to be slow. I found it to be paced pretty much adequately, is my opinion.
Yeah.
But again, you got to see it in the theaters, so...
I do think this, like we've said it a bunch of times already, this is a theater watch for sure.
Yeah, you have to.
And I think anyone who really loves horror should go see it. But
I think if you like scary movies, you will. If you like to be scared, like that's what the intent of this is to play with the technology to make you scared. Mm-hmm. And I am so down for that. Yeah. You know, I cannot be upset when someone is going to play with new ways to scare me in the theater, especially when like that's fun. I don't get a lot of things that scare me like this.
I think we also talk about how important it is for film to be experimental to us, and that there are things that came out last year that maybe people didn't love because it was experimental or non-traditional, but we really liked because it did that.
Definitely.
Like thinking about how Zach Cregger's storytelling is not A to Z. Zach Cregger tells stories in a very like interesting way, or that obviously 28 years later was really experimental, and for a lot of people that didn't work, but it did for us. And I think this is going to be another example of we give it a lot of props for all of what it did audio wise, because we don't quite see things like this all the time.
And I think with the people that feel like desensitized to scares or have like watched scary movies, but like I never find anything scary, like this is the one to go watch, because while it's not like a jump scare movie, it is going to hold your attention. And it's going to build up suspense. And I think it'll have you, you know, kind of sunk into your seat by the end, which is what its goal is. Mm-hmm. So if that's what you want, then you'll like the movie.
Yeah. What did you think? Something I did not like is I thought the backwards songs were dumb.
You know, I liked it because I wouldn't hear it, and then when they would say it, then I would start to hear it, and it felt like
100%.
It was such a brain trick. It was almost like a fourth wall break, because I also was like, "Oh, this is kind of dumb," but then when it worked, I was like, "Oh my god!"
I know I giggled at one point when I heard it work.
It's really interesting how it can play with your brain like that, and just them saying it.
Yeah,
and so you know, I can't hate that at all. As much as I also was just like, "Oh, well, you're going to hear whatever you want to hear," but that is what people do. They've been doing that for. However, I was going to say centuries, since we could play music backwards. We've been trying to get messages from music. And I think that's very fun and true. And it kind of plays into the corniness of having this podcast where they play two characters, where the one is convinced how they get back into character.
I loved them getting back into character, because I do think there's something to when you're recording, your voice might be a little different, or you use language you wouldn't. To be fair, I don't know how much we do that, but a lot of people do that. A lot of people do play characters when they're podcasting.
I don't think we do.
Well, that's what I just said. I think sometimes my voice gets a little more chipper depending on who we're recording with.
If I'm playing a character, I make it very obvious when I'm being a character.
But that's not everybody.
Not everyone.
That's not
I know. I was like, maybe
style.
we should start being characters. We'd be more successful.
Maybe.
We should do like
What's our character?
What was the Roger Ebert show where they would just always disagree on everything, and we could just start coming in, and no matter what you say, I go against what you say.
That might kill me. I think I can't do it. But I thought it was funny, especially that it's a paranormal podcast where they have the character of skeptic and then believer, because we're friends with the podcast Paranormal in Pennsylvania. And they have a skeptic and then they have a scaredy cat.
I realized
like,
from watching
the
this movie
researcher
that
believer.
Pip's skeptic just needs to be meaner about it. What's her name was so mean in this? Evie.
I think David's
Yeah,
he's
David,
very
he's gotta be
dry.
meaner. He's got to just be like, you're crazy. This is dumb. Apparently that's what worked for Undertone.
I don't know. Yeah. But I did think that was funny. I guess since we also have a podcast, I thought that probably enhanced my enjoyment of it, quite frankly.
That's why we like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies so much. Oh my gosh. Because of Rachel Sinnett's podcast and that.
Where she's hanging out with her funniest friends? Smartest and funniest friends?
You are hanging out with your smartest and funniest friends, which is her. That's the joke.
No, that's not the joke.
It literally is.
Matt, we've literally talked about this on another episode.
Okay, if you say so. It's a podcast about hanging out with your smartest and funniest friend, and she's talking about herself.
No, she's hanging out with her smartest and funniest friends. It could be interpreted literally either way. It's
if you
not.
Say so.
We talked about this in our episode on The Shape of Water.
Right in, because
Anna said,
I think you guys are both wrong. I'm being a character right now.
Well, and I hate this character, so I think it needs to simmer down.
I'm going to go find the clip after this and we can argue over it.
No.
Okay. Well, do you want
How
what do you want to talk?
How did you feel about the semi-grief narrative with her mom?
I'm glad it only went as far as it did because I cannot handle another poorly handled grief narrative in a movie. It was not really even a grief narrative. It was more just a good setup to make someone feel isolated, create a creepy moment of mom walking around when she shouldn't be, and you kind of just feel the guilt of this character, especially when she leaves to go to a party and comes back and mom's on the floor.
That was horrifying.
Created really an interesting tension.
I thought she was going to come back and mom would be dead. So when mom was just on the floor,
I thought she was dead.
I was a little relieved, but then I was like, how'd she get on the floor? She can't move.
Yeah.
So it was terrifying. There was a lot in which she said that I found really relatable. I think it works for all of the reasons that you just said. But obviously, I've mentioned a parent with stage 4 cancer. So we know we've been through some tough times. We know the end is somewhat near. And so I thought it's like a tough thought that comes to you in that way a lot, where you obviously don't want to lose the person that you love, but then there's like this feeling like you'll be relieved when they're not suffering anymore, and when you don't have to be isolated anymore or deal with it anymore, and no one wants to admit that. But I think the fact that she does confess that she'll be relieved when it's over, I was glad that they had the balls to do that, I guess. Because again, I don't think that's a narrative that people
it's very
are open
real,
about.
So
yes, and I do think it is extremely isolating, especially because not everyone knows what that experience is like. Mm-hmm. And because she has to spend all of her time here with this person. And it's just
a great setup to be scary. That's like what I kind of what I said before that I like about it is we didn't need to go any further than that, other than kind of putting it on the surface so we could think about it and then using it as a setup to scare us. And I appreciate a movie doing that.
Yeah.
That also was what kept this movie at 90 minutes versus 2.5.
What did this movie mean to you? Or what was its purpose? Because
to scare me.
I do think its purpose primarily is to scare you and to use audio specifically to scare you. It was made
to make me white knuckle my theater seat, which you were.
I was white knuckling. That Dolby was hitting hard. But I do think part of its purpose is to explore a little bit of that, like we just talked about.
Yeah.
The isolation that comes with dealing with a dying family member.
Or even like the isolation of like having kids too, to a degree. Not to call that isolation, but like the fear of having a child. And like the same way that why we talk about Eraserhead does, like the fear of like messing up a child or getting a child hurt. And in this situation, it's like kind of the postpartum monster is the way I think about Abizu.
And also like how we cope with all of these stressors. What I wanted to tell you earlier, background on the making of the film, is the director, Ian Towson, he moved during the pandemic back to his family's home in the Toronto area to look after his mother and father, who were both diagnosed with terminal cancer in close succession.
Terrible.
His mother passed in 2021 and his father passed in 2023. And so he channeled his grief by writing a radio play that turned into this screenplay.
Oh, this would have been so cool as a radio play if those still existed.
Yes.
They're
And
podcasts now.
he said that the character of Evie was kind of a surrogate for himself in this way. And like the character, he turned to alcohol to cope with the loss of his parents and the darkness of his script's subject matter. So
I like that a lot.
I thought that was pretty brilliant.
Very much so. I love the idea of a radio play. I'm going to say that again. I kind of do wish that still existed. This would have been very successful as that.
My hot take, which is not really a hot take, it's like a cold to medium take, is that I would love this as a audio podcast.
I'm realizing I would now like to hear a scary fictional narrative podcast like this, where it's like, we're going to listen to these things.
Exist,
I know. If anyone could recommend one to me, I think I would really enjoy that.
Yeah.
So I don't want one that's like 10 hours long, though.
Drop some
I'm talking like 2 hours.
Well, I do think you'll probably get like a range of them
Okay, sure.
in length.
Yeah. I wonder, would this have been more successful as that versus a movie? Because I think there's a lot more you have to do. And while I do think he did a good job with the filmmaking, I wonder if the scares would have hit even harder if we were just blind.
I think the issue is some of the ways that they played with the audio that worked the best for me, you can't do over just normal headphones. But it would just be, they would just modify that.
Yeah.
Like, I do think it would work both ways. I would love to take this exact story and make it into his radio play that he had initially been writing. Like, I would love to see that version too, to compare them.
I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying about PT earlier, is I almost wish I had an inkling of what the story was, and then you played it in all its glory, like the murder. And they kind of do that where the girl puts the baby in a bag and smashes it into
horrifying.
it, which was horrifying. I kind of wanted more of that, and I think it could have been done even scarier. And I think it should have been in Mike and Jess's tape, not on a phone call they got live. Mm-hmm. Although the phone call they got live makes it so they feel like they should stop it. But like that, then there's this other feeling I'm having, which is like they need to stop this. But it's like I think it's more interesting if it has already happened, and now I'm hearing it after. So they're just like little things I maybe would have liked to have changed, but I still like the movie.
I still liked it.
It's just like things where I'm like, oh, if I want to get something like this in the future, here's a way to do it. And what I'm saying is just re-release PT so everyone can play it again and don't make it a movie. And that's the scariest thing that's out there. So,
do you have any hot takes about this movie?
yeah, PT's the scariest piece of media ever made.
Well, that's not that Undertone, but I guess it's adjacent enough in your head that I'll allow it. Do you think this is one of the scariest movies of the 2020s?
Yes, this and Skinamarink. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple others. What was Oddity was in this time, and I think that was scary. Maybe then his new one will be Hokum.
I'm hoping.
I'm really hoping. Yeah, I think this is probably up there.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this or that scarier edition. Normally, when we do this or that, we decide which movie we like better. In this or that, we're choosing which one we think is scarier. So I found some lists of the scariest movies of the 2020s.
You got it.
According
so ask him to me. I'll close my eyes so I'm not looking at your list.
Folks. Okay. Undertone or Talk to Me?
Undertone.
Undertone or Long Legs?
Undertone.
Undertone or The Invisible Man?
Undertone. Although The Invisible Man has some really good moments, but I think Undertone.
Undertone or Barbarian?
Barbarian.
Undertone or Smile?
Undertone.
Undertone or Smile 2?
Tie.
Undertone or Oddity?
Oddity.
And Undertone or Skinamarink?
Skinamarink. Skinamarink's the scariest movie of of this century.
All right. Do you want to?
Yes. All right. Undertone or Talk to Me.
Undertone.
Undertone or Long Legs.
Undertone.
Undertone or The Invisible Man.
Undertone.
Undertone or Barbarian.
Barbarian.
Undertone or Smile.
Undertone.
Undertone or Smile 2.
Smile 2.
Undertone or Oddity.
Oddity.
Undertone or Skinamarink. Tough one.
That one's tough because the first half of the movie I was like half asleep, and then the second half of the movie I was terrified. So depends on which half you catch me, I guess.
You got to watch it's the same as this one. The whole thing is what makes it work.
Well, you had to wake me up.
Yeah.
But then once I was connected, I was connected.
Should I get Skinamarink on Blu-ray? That seems like a cursed movie to have on
That's
Blu-ray.
a cursed movie to have on Blu-ray. We did ask our followers, what is the scariest movie of the 2020s? Cinema's Charm said, truthfully, I haven't been that scared by any 2020s horror, but I'll say Oddity because the tent scene got me good. Philip Marinello said I'd probably go with Smile for the actual scariest.
I did not find Smile scary, but other people do, so...
I commented actually to his and was like, I actually found Smile 2 scarier. And he said, they were both super effective. The main reason I picked the first is I remember jumping and low-key shouting when I watched it with headphones on a plane, upside down smiley face, which is really funny. Steinmetz.Ethan said, It Follows really got under my skin. And I was like, that was pre-2020s, my man. And then he said, Rats, okay, bring her back because of the really real-life horror of abuse.
Bring Her Back is pretty scary. Not in the same way this is.
Yeah, I agree. Film Podcast said Oddity. Movie Postmortem Podcast said The Invisible Man. And then Kelly of Final Girls Podcast said, for me, Oddity and Caveat, which are both Damien McCarthy.
Oddity is... I like Oddity better, although Caveat has some of the best scares I've seen.
Caveat has a few
When
moments.
year did Terrifier come out? Or not Terrifier, Terrified.
Terrified is pre-2020.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that one was crazy.
Terrified is so
Terrified
scary.
Terrified
It's
really scared me.
Argentinian film.
Yeah, not
It's
not Terrifier with the weird clown, with Art the Clown.
No, Terrified is 2017.
Yeah.
And is terrifying. Okay. Any other thoughts before we rate it?
No, I feel like I complained because we wanted to chat plot and just how we interpreted it. So I hope that didn't dissuade people from seeing it. This is like a movie worth watching, in my opinion. I'm going to rate this pretty well.
Me too.
I don't know if it's one that's going to stand the test of time because it does feel a little bit more of an experimental idea or a proof of concept. But they did a good enough job with all the other aspects in this proof of concept for it to feel like a real good feature film. So.
I agree. I'm not quite sure where I put it on my ranked for this year so far, but I definitely had a lot of fun with it, and it would be in my top 5.
This is going to be really one hard to rank because I've seen some like fun horror movies this year.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of I'm going against what I just said I do with The Bride, where I'm kind of rating this based off of like what it was trying to achieve.
Yeah. I get that.
So I'm like rating it higher. It's hard for me to compare movies to other movies. That's kind of what I did with The Bride though too, where I was like, this is what it was trying to achieve. It did it immaculately, 9 out of 10. So for me, Undertone, I'm giving an 8 out of 10 because it's scary.
I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10.
All right.
I did quite like it. I had a lot of fun. On the Dalton endorsement scale, -5 to 5 scale, where our scores more specifically reflect how much we recommend the film, taking into consideration personal enjoyment and the film's cultural impact, negative scores, lack of endorsement, zeros neutral, yada yada.
Oh, I feel weird about this one. I feel like this is kind of a +2 movie. Like, there are movies that I like it, it's not for everyone, and I'm not being like, you have to see Undertone. Like, this is very much like for the horror girlies like us. And I don't think it's like that culturally significant. It's just a cool movie.
I think if you're a horror girly, I'm going to go +4.5 that you see it in theaters.
See, this is now you're breaking the scale by giving your recommendation. It's yours, not for the horror girlies.
Okay, but
that's why I gave it a +2.
Then I'm gonna go a +3.
Okay.
But I really think people should go see this and make their own opinion, obviously. As always.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to cover? We good?
I think we're good. Before we close out, have you watched anything fun lately outside of podcast stuff that we haven't talked about on the show?
Yeah, I watched Apocalypse Now for the first time.
Yo.
And I really actually, no joke, think we could cover Apocalypse Now for the horror podcast.
It's horrifying.
It was so effective. I was watching it and I remember I said to you, I was like, you ever realize, you know that feeling that you're watching a 5-star movie while you're in the middle of watching one and you haven't even finished, but you already just can tell it's a 5-star movie? That was Apocalypse Now. That movie was horrific. Not the Redux, by the way, the theatrical release I watched. Horrific. I want to buy it on Blu-ray immediately. It was like nothing I'd seen before, and the way it was shot and the way the things they did in that film were just incredible. And I was like, it was another one of those moments where I was like, why do movies not look like this anymore?
Yeah.
And that like depresses me sometimes, but it's also like I also said the second I finished it, I felt like I wanted to watch it again. So I would love if we could find a way to say we'll cover Apocalypse Now, because to me it felt like
I want to do a draft
movie.
of horror that's not horror movies.
I would put Apocalypse Now up in there, Zodiac as well. stuff like that. But yeah, this one,
Nocturnal Animals.
you got to watch.
E.T., duh.
But there's everything else that I've watched recently we covered. K-Pop Demon Hunters we watched. It was fine.
The music bops.
Yeah, it was a fine movie.
My shout out is Project Hail Mary.
I know, I didn't get to see that.
I know, and it sucks for you. It's still not even going to be out when we release this episode. I got to see it early, before the embargo lifted, and highly recommend. It's really good. Everyone's going to like to love it.
I'm excited to eventually see it. I didn't know much about it, so. Is it going to be better than Apocalypse Now, though? Best movie I've watched this year.
No one said it was going to be better than Apocalypse Now.
I know.
Calm down. Also, shout out, we're going to talk about them in our March and April recaps, but I also watched Crazy Old Lady, and actually, we won't bring it up in the recap because it's a February movie, so
Liar.
That's why I was bringing it up, and I just misspoke. Crazy Old Lady, I watched on Shudder, bringing it up because I got a screener of it, so wanted to give it a shout out on the podcast. The horrors of dementia are ripe for scares, and the intro to this movie with mom calling her repeatedly to ask for the same recipe, super scary. Lead performance, scary. Rest of it, all
right.
Full review on Letterboxd, so follow me there.
Cool. Well, you think we want to wrap it up?
I think we'll wrap up our recording, yeah.
All right, sounds good. Well, I've been Matt Hanna.
I'm Hannah.
This is Horror with the Hannas. Stay tuned and stay scared.
Sheriff, we got a lot to talk about.
Welcome to Twin Peaks. I'm your Twin Peaks veteran, Special Agent Matt Hanna.
And I'm your first-time viewer, Sheriff Hannah.
And each week, we're visiting David Lynch and Mark Frost's Twin Peaks on our new show, Welcome to Twin Peaks, a Twin Peaks rewatch podcast.
Entering the town of Twin Peaks.
We're talking dreams, damn fine coffee.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
Back we're talking mysteries.
And asking the important questions like, who really killed Laura Palmer? Are the owls what they seem? And why does this town feel like a nightmare you don't want to wake up from?
It is happening again.
Whether you're a longtime Twin Peaks resident or stepping into the Black Lodge for the very first time, Welcome to Twin Peaks is your guide through the woods.
What kind of fantastic trees have you got growing around here?
New episodes every week wherever you get podcasts.
And be sure to follow our socials at Welcome to Twin Peaks Podcast for schedules and opportunities to call and write into the show.
I'm gonna turn it upside down!
The mysteries are dense and the secrets are dark. Stick around for a sneak peek of our very first episode of Welcome to Twin Peaks.
I said my New Year's resolution
was to start the show.
So
we watched the pilot on New Year's Day.
Yes.
And we said, all right, it's time.
Yes.
And we're running with this. So if you haven't seen the show before, welcome. If you have, welcome back. And so how we're going to kind of run with this is Hannah has never watched the show. She's aware of plot points, but yes. I would be considered the veteran as the person who's watched it all through once. However, I would say it quickly became my favorite show of all time after finishing it. And I would stand by that. So I will be your Special Agent Dale Cooper to your Harry S. Truman as I guide you through the world of the unknown here. As our first time watcher, I need to know initial thoughts.
I liked it. I also think that the show does a really great job the way it cuts from one scene to the next with like what they're choosing to display in each scene. Like they cut from finding Laura's body and being like, that's Laura Palmer, to her mom in the home, like, Laura, come down for breakfast. Like, Laura, where are you? And I think those scenes being back to back is really upsetting and chilling. And I think decisions like that are very meaningful.
This is a very chilling show altogether. There are cheery moments as we watch the Log Lady intro vignette, which we'll be doing for all of these. This is a funny show. This is a very deeply sad show, and you're going to get a little bit of everything. And I do think that this first pilot actually exemplifies that in a really amazing way, because we do get a little bit of everything. Next thing is we have vibe checks.
Yeah, so we're going to give our vibe rating from 1 to 10 for a couple characters. The next character that I had a vibe check for is Dale Cooper. And my vibe score was 11,000 out of 10.
Of course.
I love him.
It's so funny. How could you not? He is so odd.
He's so
and,
quirky, but smart, but also like there's like this sweetness about him talking about like the trees.
And his damn fine cup of coffee. Oh, we haven't gotten there yet, but yes.
But yeah, like he's like, oh, I like stopped at this diner on the way here and had the best slice of cherry pie. Like,
it is funny hearing someone talk. Everyone loves Dale Cooper.
Okay, my next vibe check was Sheriff Harry S. Truman, and I gave him a 10 out of 10.
It's funny for people that we have a lot of issues with propaganda and like are clearly very distrustful of authority in the police. I can't help but love my FBI agent and love my small town sheriff.
Sheriff Harry S. Truman, I was like, I feel like he's so nice. I need to be suspicious.
I mean, even the way he handles talking to the parents.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, like good cop.
And he like
good person.
He's the one who goes to speak to Leland, wasn't he?
My other vibe check, 10 out of 10. Log lady, Margaret.
I love the scene where they're like...
Who's the lady with the log? We call her log lady. Also, having the vignette of her, I would have not watched them before. So I would recommend everyone who's watching it go on YouTube and watch the intros for every episode because I think it's really cool. And they were also recorded way after the show had ended. So there's like a lot of...
It's interesting.
So yeah, that's like a very fun element. But yeah, log lady rules. Love her. She's got a log.
My cherry pie moment, my coziest moment would be Cooper talking about trees. He really likes those Douglas firs.
He loves those Douglas firs.
And it comes up multiple times, and I love that for him.
Did you like how he said the bureau where he's located is in Philadelphia, and he's so happy to be out of the city of Philly and out into the countryside, which is where we live.
Chill. It's nice here, too. But it is nice to go on vacation in the Pacific Northwest. He has a point.
Mm-hmm. My Black Lodge moment. I realized this pilot has so many unsettling moments.
It was like hard to pick one.
Upon rewatch, I think the first time I was like, this is pretty out there. I like it. I was really moved by the entire lead up to Cooper showing up, which is like even like the first 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. More than usual, like I found myself like kind of choked up during everyone's reaction to finding out that this like 17-year-old child was found wrapped in plastic dead on the beach. Like of Pete out there, Jack Nance, finding her. And I think the moment when Donna realizes and she peeks over and sees that Laura's not there, the police are there, and just starts sobbing.
That is
and they're playing the Angelo score, the Laura Palmer theme, which is the most beautiful piece of music ever written. I was a little hungover, and I was like, think I was already kind of drained emotionally from New Year's Eve and everything. I was really choked up. Like I was like trying to hold back tears, and I was like, and I think the first time I found it awkward, and this time I was like, damn, like this is such a good way to show this actual feeling.
Yeah.
And like really cut deep. I mean, obviously the parents reacting too. I mean,
man.
But either way, Donna and James looking at each other and being like, "Oh my god, did our best friend just die?" And like other kids might not know her, so they're like freaked out, but not the same. And the principal gets on there and he's choked up.
Yeah.
Like,
also like the cop comes in to like ask a question, and the teacher is clearly so like affected by what she's just heard.
And I'm really excited to see how you see the rest and how this builds and how the town reacts and how I do think there's a lot of complicity. This has been a sneak peek of our new podcast, Welcome to Twin Peaks. Please follow along wherever you find podcasts, and we'll see you in Twin Peaks with a fresh cup of coffee.